Introduction to Episode 2. Welcome back to The Edge and our story based in Cape Couve. We have met the new local reporter and newspaper woman, Artemis Farrell. She and her dog Bounder are about to have some interesting adventures with the other residents. Welcome to Cape Couve.
I'm Laura Henderson. This is Cape Couve, Episode 2. Artemis awoke to what she was learning to be as the typical morning weather pattern. A low fog in the morning, creeping over the streets of the town, whispering up the cliffs by the sea, and soon to dissipate into a cool, bright day, but not for hours, maybe not until mid-afternoon. This pattern has shaped her days since she moved to Cape Couve.
Today, she thought brightly, she would explore. She had learned of other neighborhoods and areas of Cape Couve that were different from the downtown life. Her reporter's ears were perked to the idea of something that needed exploring. So this morning she got up, washed and dressed. She fed her noisy dog Bounder and bundled him and some lunch into her Subaru and headed out.
She drove through the sleepy town and took the switchbacks up the side of the cliff that overlooked the town. As she drove along, the road got smoother. The area seemed neater, more groomed, more tended to. Then along the higher ridge, she saw the large houses overlooking the town. The school was up here too, with its one short yellow bus, picking up the 8 school children who attended the oversized schoolhouse, bespeaking another more populated time than now.
As Artemis drove along the ridge, along High Street, there were more than a few empty structures, some ramshackle, some well-kept, some for sale looking ready to welcome new occupants. She turned up to go up the great hill. Slowly ascending, she noted the road surface changed. It became grittier, more like cobblestones than tarmac, a throwback to what might be found in Scotland or Ireland, or anywhere in the old country. Artemis had been to the British Isles as a girl with her parents, so long ago. She was impressed by the wobbly roads, the cold stone castles, the green hills and pastures, and the unintelligible speech of the people they met.
That was decades ago. Really, a lifetime ago. But this road brought it all rushing back. She made the turn up the gravelly road, up, and last, a great iron gate stopped her.
She rolled to a stop and got out. Looking back, she saw a sweeping view of Cape Couve shoreline, what now seemed populated with tiny houses and tiny Main Street shops. There was now the tiny Dewdrop Inn where she was currently staying, the waves riding to shore with only a hissing sound this high up.
It was breathtaking, mesmerizing. The allure of the area became apparent, and Artemis felt a tug at her heart. This is why people come here, she thought.
She opened her trunk and pulled out a dish and jug of water for Bounder. That's when she saw a glimpse of the huge house behind the gate. It was imposing, dark, and clearly not well cared for, with its overgrown vines, untrimmed trees, uncut grass, and an unruly, blousy garden.
With a reporter's eye, she scanned the gate, locked with a large rusty chain over the top. Not the sort of thing one would try to climb over. Artemis never found gates limiting. She was always willing to press forward. She took a hold of the gate and pulled. All of a sudden, a loud calamity of dog barks and growls ensued, their howls and barks filling the air. She grabbed Bounder, jumped back into her Subaru, and careened back down the mountainside.
You don't think that was too soon to try out old Zoltan's gate?
Said LaDonna back at the Rainbow Bistro.
I mean, really, you just got here, what, maybe 3 weeks ago, and you're already dipping into our town's biggest secrets?
Artemis took a sip of her espresso and met LaDonna's gaze.
Yeah,
She said.
Can't help myself.
This was true. After working at a regional newspaper for so many years, Artemis found she could never look at the world the same. There was always a story, always something to tell, whether the people wanted to tell it or not.
Wow!
A small voice came from behind Artemis. She turned to see a boy, slight, so small you might mistake him for a ghost or nothing at all.
That's cool, you went there.
Said the small figure.
That's enough.
Said LaDonna to the boy.
Have you got your homework done? These Zoom classes are not great.
Said as an aside to Artemis. Artemis nodded.
Hey,
She said to the little boy.
thanks. Exploring leads like this makes for good reporting. Glad to talk to you about this anytime. What's your name?
She looked at the slight, shy child.
It's Zeus.
Said LaDonna.
We wanted him to feel he was empowered.
But you can call me John.
Said the boy.
I'd like that.
He added.
Thanks.
Said Artemis. She knelt down so she could look him in the eye to eye.
Hey Zeus, John. I was named after a Greek god too. It hasn't always been easy. Maybe we could meet. Maybe you would like to meet my dog Bounder.
I think that would be great.
Said
He
LaDonna.
could use more friends.
And what do you think?
Said Artemis to the boy.
Yeah, okay.
Said John with a slight shimmer of a smile.
Okay,
Said Artemis, and wrote her cell number on a napkin.
call me when you are ready, okay?
She stood, nodded thanks to LaDonna as she finished her coffee. She untied Bounder and stepped outside the Rainbow Bistro. At that moment, she saw Gregorio and Rosalie flip the sign on their restaurant door from closed to open. Bounder barked. Artemis smiled and said,
Okay, boy. I could use an oyster taco too.
They started heading down the street towards Rosalie's.
Bounder,
Artemis said.
we have more work here to do than I thought.
That's a scoop from Cape Couve, where time isn't even a concept. It's the Cape Couve